what I hope to achieve tonight is talk about some of the intraoral imaging systems there, the move from analog to digital in restorative workflows, including digital dentures, demonstrates digital impressions using specifically the iTero Lumina and the evolution my past year and a half. The technology is truly groundbreaking. Look at different types of denture solutions and how to look at patients for it, and also just to improve the communications with the laboratory so that we are able to deliver these things in less appointments with less post-op visits. Let's go going. Again, dentist for 41 years, my challenge has always been to get patients to see what I see and understand. I'm sure you have the same issues out there. You see something, the patients say, it doesn't bother me. Why should I listen and follow your recommendation? So it's always been the challenge. And we work with analog solutions like a mirror or sometimes study models and stuff. Patients don't really get it. They don't understand it. And what we like to do is present a full comprehensive treatment planning to get people to take care of all their needs, to avoid costly dentistry in the future and having the dentistry last a long time. Analog solutions, they're inefficient, decentralized. I remember looking at, I met a prosthodontist recently. He says, I'm an analog prosthodontist. I said, no, you're a dinosaur. Having multiple stations, some models that are mounted, some aren't, some have wax subs, some are integrated. Then you have your CBCT on one area, you have your surgical planning all over. It's decentralized, the size and the footprint are huge. Imagine having one platform for everything under the same vision. And that's what I really excited about the Align platform, the only platform out there that has an ortho restorative platform that shows CBCTs, facial images, facially generated treatment plans all together. Now, why go to digital dentures? And I remember going back to my dental school days at Columbia. There was an interesting article published at 1984. Those of you practicing that long may remember it. It was Forbes that had a sign saying the dentist was going out of business. And they based that on the amount of fluoride in the water, and that in that specific patient population, like teenagers and below, they were not getting, school-age children were not getting caries. So they extrapolated to mean that there would be no future for dentists out there, which could be hardly the truth. And one of the big areas is the changing demographics. Frankly, people are just living longer and they're keeping their dentition longer as well. So we've evolved. We talked about the Align digital platform, but what you'll find out today, if you haven't started experiences, they are more efficient, less appointments, and better fit. We're able to use photos as well. We're now entering, we already entered it, 3D facial scans. So we can start everything from facial generating, looking the landmarks in the face. With the 2D photo, we only have that as a one look, but as we incorporate 3D facial scanning, we can look at the profile and changes to some of the appearances of vertical dimensions and such what. And the great thing about it is once you have a design and it's stored in the cloud, and I've had this, a few times the last few months, patient says, I cracked my denture, Dr. Glassman, what do I do? I said, no worries, I have your design stored on my computer in the cloud. Let's print you another one. And in about 40 minutes, we have a new denture for them. So having everything stored in the cloud is really, really important. Again, also a great marketing approach. Going out, if you have a fair amount of patients in your practice that have dentures, one of the first steps that I do is let's get them digitized. Let's make sure we have a spare. We know what happens sometimes. We go into procedures or we move around and they get lost, and then it's a panic attack. So having them stored in the cloud, we could use them for a new denture or even planning for implants. And I look at every denture patient as a possible future implant case. Let's talk about analog. And I remember my days at Columbia going through this 7-appointment procedure, preliminary impression for custom tray, final impression. Then we would get our wax trims back. We would take a jaw relationship, then a face bow. We then have our wax try-in, and how many times did we have it where only there was an open bite about 5 millimeters, or we tried it in and on a warm day like we have outside, the patient bites hard and that front lateral goes flying. And so we may have to do a bunch of different try-ins till we get the final position we were happy with, and we deliver the case and we have adjustments. And in New York, we said we're just praying the patient would retire in Florida. With digital, much simpler, 3 visits and sometimes even 2 visits. We're going to scan with the existing dentures in place, and we'll go with different scenarios. But most of the denture cases we do, they have some preliminary denture. We take a full face photo, or you have access to a facial scanner, and there are some out there. We then get a try-in, which is a printed try-in. And if you have your own 3D printer, which I'm going to advise to put it on your list, if you don't have one, that you can just have the lab send you the design printed in your office, try it in. If it was great, we can go ahead and have them do a final denture, or we can send it back for modified. But typically 3 visits, very, very accurate. The bites and stuff are, you'll see, are almost perfect. And again, they are way much less adjustments than the analog way. Some of the research that's out there, it's not just me saying it, all these articles have been in the Journal of Medical Science, prosthetic dentistry, prosthetic research, that the CAD/CAM type of dentures that are milled or printed are much less adjustments. They have higher retention. They have less adjustments with them. Overall, the procedure is more precise and more accurate. Now, again, back to that article that I mentioned about Forbes that I read at Columbia in 1984 that said the dentist would be extinct. That's, I think the sign was extinct and teeth like a dinosaur. But actually, the denture market is actually growing from 2018, 570 million.6. And now look at the growth they're predicted to 2028. Complete dentures and partial. People are living longer. More disease processes affect people over time. More people request dentures as they age. Let's compare the different techniques and the fit of the dentures, and we can look at 4 different examples. We have the traditional pack and press, acrylic, fluid resin injection, and the CAD/CAM. And we look at it, this study shows that the green denture base, that's what we're looking for, is in direct contact with the master cast. That's ideal. The blue is, there's some space between the denture and the base and the master cast, and the yellow and the red are some type of impingement causing sore spots and adjustments. And the CAD/CAM one out there is by far the best fitting one compared to the other techniques, which means less adjustments. 4 different scenarios. Copy or duplicate denture, which I mentioned before, great marketing tool for those people that only have one set. And you could come up with a very affordable cost effectiveness of doing it. Again, depending, we'll speak to the laboratories about the different materials. They're priced a little different, whether we're going with printed and premium or generic teeth to premium teeth that are milled, and combinations of them. Replacement dentures, something that's kind of old and worn and maybe the teeth have chipped or there's a crack in them. I call that immediate replacement denture. A lot of immediate dentures out there, the failing dentition, people who have neglected their mouths, or we've kind of watched them deteriorate over the time. Hopefully that's not the case. And again, in all the cases I've done in the last 8 years, digital dentures, I've only done maybe 2 or 3 dentures from scratch. Very, very unusual that patients come in without anything, but if they have only one denture and they lost it, that certainly can be one of the scenarios. Let's look at the first one, copy dentures. Okay. This is scanned, and this is before I had the Lumina. We'll be talking about the Lumina because we've had it in a year, and we'll see how that is a truly game breaker. But this was done with the 5D. What we're doing is scanning the Reline Denture 360. So we have the inner lining with and the inner scan with the Reline material on it, and then we roll it over and we get the outside of the denture with the teeth. Here's the stone version of it. And of those of you who may have used this procedure that the labs hated, called the triple tray, but the concept would be is that you get the prep tooth, the counter or the opposing arch, and the bite all together. This allows you to get the edentulous areas, the opposing arch, if you're doing against a fixed teeth, or you're doing against another denture. It allows you to get the edentulous arch, the bite, and the existing teeth that the patient has in it. So again, if we're not changing anything, we just want to duplicate, that's what they're going to get. And again, here is just a little this movement of the design that has the Reline denture showing the space that's there. And here is the copy denture. Again, we'll talk about materials, but there's doing a lot more printing today. Printing is, again, more efficient, faster, less expensive, or there's some kind of combinations where sometimes we'll do printed teeth, or sometimes we'll do milled teeth. The milled teeth are stronger, a little bit more aesthetic as well. And here are the final dentures, the newer version compared to the older version here, but the setup is exactly the same. Replacement dentures, I do quite a bit of these. This usually happens when somebody calls you and they say their denture is broken. Here is a guy, a really good guy. He is healthy. He's 65 years old. He is a doorman in a prestigious building in the Upper West Side. So I want to make sure he's happy because he connects with a lot of people in the building and people that live in the Upper West Side, Central Park West to be exact, very high, expensive real estate, people that can spend money on comprehensive cases and implants. And I look at every type of replacement denture as a possible implant case, especially a guy like him who's 65 years old, and hopefully he could be living well into his 90s. So first thing we do, and what happened with him, he kind of crazy glued. He could see the right side, his lateral and central in it. And so we're going to just evaluate his aesthetics and tooth position, vertical dimension of occlusion, freeway space, all that stuff. See if we're going to make any changes. Now, obviously, if a patient is pretty happy with their position and there's just some worn area there, we're not going to make that many changes. But I still believe that everybody needs to go through step by step, at least the tooth shade, gingival shading, and midline, right? With a lot of these applications out there and software out there, we can actually take a face wide smile photo, close, and evaluate the landmarks, tip of the nose, the labella, the facial thirds of the face, the interpupillary line, the smile curve, does it follow the lower lip, the golden proportion, the fox plane, the anterior plane, how is the lip support, incisal length, overjet and overbite. We go through the step by step, and if we want to make a change, we acknowledge it, and we add it to our information to send into our design. So again, everything is digital. The labs are using either primary exocad, which is part of the Align platform. It's not just Invisalign, iTero, exocad, and Vivera. Exocad is the largest laboratory software. A lot of labs also may have 3Shaper, another popular product out there. Again, going back to basic things we learned about denture, rest minus central relation in that 2 to 4 millimeter range. And I like this little instrument called Conmator, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's just a quick way to get a ball thought if the patient is over closed or over opened. And we can look at that. Here we have a young, attractive, and we have somebody in her 90s without her dentures to understand if we're going to open her up or close it down. We also can go through the phonetic, the F and V sounds with the maxillary incisors hitting that wet dry line, the lower lip, determine that setting, and we use things like 55. Or the S and Z sounds, which looks at the vertical overlap of the teeth, about 1 millimeter to 1.5 mm. So we have that air space that creates the nice S and Z sound. So looking at this, are we going to make any determinations or changes? So here's where they come in with their existing denture. And if we are going to have to repair anything, we may have to add some light cure composite on these areas to fill it in. And if some of these dentures, a lot of them could be under extended, we can use a heavy body on the borders and do muscle trimming with the heavy body, and then do a light wash inside there, cut off the excess. If we're going to open the bite and allow now with the upgrades to Lumina, it allows you to take multiple bites. You can take centric occlusion, centric relation, left protrusive, left working, left lateral, right lateral, and even retrusive. And so the laboratory can take all these bites and put it into their CAD/CAM software. So here we took a little CR bite with the leaf gauge, especially if you see a lot of worn teeth in that denture. Okay, this was done with the older 5D, which you can certainly do with digital dentures with the older or other scanners on the market there. But when I show you what the technology's brought, Lumina is truly revolutionary. Here is where he just kind of crazy glued his 2 laterals to the teeth. And he came in originally just wanting to replace those. And we said, how long you've had the dentures? He said, let's make you a whole new one. Sometimes in these older systems, on the dentures area, we could put in one of those indelible pens on the area, because you see, this is the really tricky part of scanning when you don't really have the landmarks on the soft tissue. Here's the 360 dentures and occlusion. And now we send it to the laboratory with as well as our photo. And here is the lab review using exocad with the Smile Creator. That's one of their programs out there. And they have it. And usually they'll send the doctor a link, a web view link of this case for approval for changes. You should always ask for that. And for some reason, I think in that day, I must have had a bunch going on because I didn't look as carefully as I should have. So this was sent to me as a try-in. I've had 3D printing now for about 6 years, just changed to the Sprint Ray V2, which I love. Prior to that, I had a Form Labs. And today they would just send me the files, and I would print them up in my office. So again, efficiency. I don't have to wait a week for delivery. If you have a good relationship with your CAD designer, they can certainly do this in a day. The printing takes about 30 minutes, and we get the patient back soon. Really important if you get that scenario where the patient has nothing and they need a denture really quickly. Okay, so we're going to do the try-in. We try that in and looks at it. First, he wanted to walk out, and he said, these are so comfortable. And then he looked in the mirror and goes, Doc, I'm showing way too much teeth. Okay, so that's why we do try-ins. So took our photos, sent to the laboratory back, and do a modification of the denture. And now we see a little wider central and lateral, a little bit more golden proportion or red proportion out there with the new design. And then we go to our final. We knew the fit and the occlusion was great. So again, we went right to a final denture. We're pretty confident. and he walked away loving it. I think he came in for one post-op, and as much as I tried to get him into doing implants, we have not seen him, but walked around and wanted white teeth, wanted nice, these are milled teeth on it, and you can see the before and after of it. Again, a very efficient and very profitable, basically a 3-visit appointment. And the record taking was the longest. The try-in and the insertion were the shortest. Okay, immediate dentures. Okay, immediate dentures. One of the workflows we do here is the appointment one. We do our exam, radiographs, photos, shade, intraoral scan, photos. Typically, I will use the 2 photos almost automatically when I know we're doing exocad designer. I will do the wide smile, teeth closed, and then a retracted picture with a clear retractor, so we can put that into the design. Lately, I've been doing a 3D facial. There's a great inexpensive one app called Clone. You can buy it. It's $300 for the year. And then we're going to do again, if you're going to do an immediate denture where you have the ability to try in the posterior setup, perhaps you can sequentially extract some of the teeth. It's a nice setup just to verify that your bite is correct. And then appointment 3 would be extract and deliver. As far as scanning the case, we do the same thing. Scan, impress upper, lower, and bite. So we take the reline impression, scan that. Some doctors will take the dentures out of the mouth to take the bite. I really don't feel that, especially with the Lumina now. The bite is so easy to take, and see it immediately and check the bite stability. So let's go through this picture. Extract and deliver. Typically, we'll use some type of tissue conditioner that same day and let that last up to a month. And then we'll remove the conditioner and we'll do a soft reline there. That's at month 1. In about 3.5 months, we will do a final impression. This is a reline with it and do the new 360-degree scan. And again, we're talking to patients and building our portfolio of people who have gone from dentures to implants and how that's been life-changing, and whether they're doing a 2-implant locator or a all-on-X case. Really a game changer, great life quality for these patients. So here are 2 different scenarios. We have the immediate denture. This one is going to be a full extraction case. There's no way for me to do a real try-in here. There's a little bit of an edentulous space there. So we want to get everything and make sure our bite is accurate. This one here, we do have the ability to do a try-in because we are extracted some of the posterior teeth. So 2 different situations. If you're able to do the sequential extractions, I think it's less guessing with the bite. And I'll show you a case where we didn't have the ability and the bite was just slightly off. Let's look at this case. This is case 2. Her name is Alexa. She kind of works for our family. And unfortunately, she had a diagnosis of ovarian cancer. And the physician requested all of her infected teeth to be extracted. So this is where we are. I'm going to tell you this because the ending is such a great feel-good story. This is an existing partial on the upper over remaining hopeless teeth. And we see how bad everything is. And here is our scan with the 5D. And again, just getting bite, not really very stable at all, but is what we had to go with. Okay. And our upper dental scan. Now you can see there's some data missing here. You don't get that with the Lumina. And if there's any issue with it, with the fitting, we can then reline the try-in and then scan the try-in if there are missing areas. Certainly, if you have a very small arch with undercuts, they could be challenging. Okay, so lab work, same thing. exocad Smile Creator, looking at the eye space here. And now this was extraction upper and lower together, and you could see we were close, but we're off. The open bite, the case is canted to the patient drops down. on the patient's left here. So kind of changed our appointment. So we have to troubleshoot this. We're going to adjust the posterior teeth to close the open bite and balance it. We're going to do a replacement denture 1 month early, and then we're going to do the reline replacement denture in 2 months. So you can see where I've adjusted the bite in the posterior, taking a relined upper area, scanned it. So we have the bite, we have the relined area where we want to, and now we're going to get another denture. Again, some stick to your laboratory. Some laboratories do Denbrite. A lot of labs want as much data as possible, but certainly I've done cases where I had a hard time getting the full arch case with the 5D, and we just gave them the reline denture. I'll show you some of the workflows of how we do things, how things have progressed. But you can see here, now you may wonder, what is this white stuff, right? Also, because there are no landmarks here, we will sometimes use zinc oxide. Where do you get zinc oxide from? Believe it or not, it's athlete's foot, all the fungus delivery out there, which kind of sounds nasty, but works really well in it. So upper edentulous, lower edentulous, reline denture, and the bite together. And now we get our final replacement denture. And again, the fit, the bite is all done. And this was done about 5 years ago. And I'm happy to say that Alexa is now cancer-free in remission. Here are her final photos. And now let me bring you up to date, because we were able to redo this case today using the iTero Lumina. And so what separates this from all the other scanners out there is the multi-direct capture. And what does that mean? Is that we don't have one camera in the wand, we have 6. In the old 5D, we didn't even have one camera. The one camera, it was in the handle. We use mirrors and lights to reflect all that data into the area now. So when I first heard the name Lumina, I said, that sounds familiar. I went back, asked my kids, who are fully grown, but were huge Harry Potter fans. They said Lumos is a spell that produces light from a tip of a wizard's wand, acting like a flashlight. It may say corny, but I say, well, this really works well, because Lumina is kind of magical in the way they see things. The key benefits of it, the accuracy. Again, one device. This is not just a replacement for your PVS. It's a way to engage patients for early diagnosis and case acceptance, which will drive revenue and treatment planning, increase production, all of those things, because they see it, they understand it. It allows them, the hygienist or the doctor, to indicate areas of concern and break it down into terms they understand, like tooth health, gum health, bite, and alignment, right? The wand is 50% smaller than the prior wands out there and 45% lighter, so better experience. And again, fast and very easy to do. Again, it's unfortunately, iTero has gotten a bad rep as being a liner or Invisalign scanner, and I could tell you, because I did the original research with it in 2005. It wasn't to about 2011 or 12 that it become under the Align platform. Before that, it was strictly doing restorative. So whether you're doing a single crown or implants or full arch or all on X, and we'll show you the technology out there has been compared in dental journals to be the most superior scanner out there. So don't take my word for it. Look at the research and make your own conclusions. Again, even an all-on-6 becomes simple and allows you to use that multi-bite thing. So if you want to really do a exocad is every articulator on the market. You can set up different bites so they can look and balance it, which is important for doing dentures and all on X. Can we really balance the bite and capture the emergent profile for that aesthetic, the implant in the aesthetic zone? Okay. Again, here are the 6 cameras, and they're in multi-angles. One of the laboratories that first picked this up said to me that they had a strict, deep undercut on a denture. He picked up every other scan on the market. The Lumina was the only one to get it. And you can see that it is 3 times larger view, and you're not you're not on the teeth. You're actually 25 millimeters above it. So you're capturing a way area, which means less stitching and more teeth captured in a scan. Again, multiple complicated cases, partial, full edentulous, all on X, full arch, partials, and veneers. I've done them for all of these things. The problem when you scan edentulous, if you've tried it before, is that you have no landmarks. So think of it if you're in the desert and you're in desert, you take a walk, you have no idea where to direct. But now if we change our point of view and go up much higher on the Lumina, we start to see wildlife and vegetation and other landmarks in there, and we have direction. That's what the Lumina does. The Lumina sees a greater field of vision. They see the greater landmarks, so they can capture these edentulous areas differently. And the technique is completely different. We would go slow and if we lost the area, we'd have to go back to a familiar area or use the blue or the zinc oxide. You don't have to do that with the Lumina. Now, this is Alexa's case. That said, for this presentation, laboratories were so happy. Denbright and DNS were happy to do a complimentary denture for us. So this is a scan that I did on the Alexa recently with the Lumina. This is a relined upper on here. I did use on the purple little oxide out of the mouth just to do it faster. The lower, I didn't use anything, came out great. And we have the bite. And now here is the different design, incorporating the edentulous with the relined denture, matching it all up in the patient's face, what they had originally, adjusting the plane a little bit, showing a little bit more teeth, opening the vertical a little bit. And this is where we have today. Thank you, DNS Dental Laboratory, for providing it. A happy person, cancer-free, smiling, and the case dropped in. I have not done one adjustment on this denture. And I have to see her every day. So she was certainly tell me if there was any issues. Let's go finish the presentation with All on X and discuss with some of the workflows and an interesting case. This is Lerda. She came into our office in 2017, wanting a better smile, and I won't spend too much time on it. This case itself could be a half-day course, but she had multiple endos that were failing the upper, missing posterior teeth, collapsed bite, and at that time, we treatment planned her for overdentures, upper and lower, for a bunch of reasons. We weren't sure of the interarch space as well as the budget for her. So that's what she looked like in 2017, and she disappeared from the practice until 2024. When she came back with her denture, what happened? The denture broke. And you can see how this was scanned so simply with the Lumina upper and down. And again, this case was done a year ago. The Lumina's had a lot of upgrades since then. Here's some photos of the intraoral case here. Again, we couldn't get implants in the back because of the bone area. And so this is the case. This is the located case we chose. And now let's discuss some of the accuracy. This is a published article out there in ADA Journal comparing the scanning quality of Lumina compared to 4 different competitors. Now, once you look at it in the vertical axis is about accuracy and how the fit is. But the horizontal one also measured consistency. So, for example, competitor 1 was pretty accurate, not as accurate as the Lumina, but they were the most inconsistent of all the scanners out there, where Lumina was not only the most accurate, the most consistent. And again, studies now showing comparable to photogrammetry with a simple all-in-one scan. No need to, if you haven't already owned a photogrammetry, you don't have to go ahead and spend the $40,000 on it. You can do it. Here is the Journal of Dentistry that are looking into it. the different planes. If you want to look at this article and look at it, again, Lumina is the most accurate and consistent full arch scanner out there. And again, this is the article that's been out comparing it to 4D photogrammetry system, right? And even the photogrammetry systems, you're going to need to scan the soft tissue or take an impression for it. So why not do it just in one scan as well? This is a scan I did a year ago. This is something called multi-unit. This is easy scan bodies that are placed on the multi-units on the case that overlap. You may have seen similar things from Nexus and True Abutment, and we're able to get the palette because of the 6 multi-direction. You don't even need to try to get the palette. It gets it as well. Now, let's bring you up to date, something that I just did a few months, about a month ago. And this is another different case, but I just want to show you how it's changed and how it's improved since a year ago. This as the time of surgery, because I've been told by a lot of doctors, you can't get a scan at the time of direct placement and direct loading. And here you see this was done immediately. And then this was done 3 months later when we're going to the final restoration. And again, these are overlapping, and look how clear the case is. And not only do I have the scan, the final scan, I actually have it timed. This is no editing on this video. It's showing my scan on the lower arch, and this is basically showing you how the Lumina works, recorded, and this whole all on 6 took me 1 minute and 20 seconds to do it. Again, if you are happy with your photogrammetry, great, but the scanning process and the versatility of Lumina is just, to me, amazing. I did another case this afternoon. This is an all-on-4 one. And the thing to remember about Lumina is that when you're looking at it under scan mode, that's what this bar is, you're looking at it on the screen through the use of one camera. When you go to the actually view mode, the other 5 cameras integrate and you see from all the camera. Imagine going to a sporting event and having them show you one camera and then showing it later on from a different angle. So the same type of function here. 1 minute 20 seconds is pretty long for this presentation, but here we are, 1minute 20 seconds, and we have the final scan as well being recorded live. So here, back to Lerter. This is her exocad design on her fixed. And this is the 3D printed Triant. This was before I had my newer printer, so the lab printed this up. And really close. She's a little numb here because some of the multi-units were slightly subgingival, and pretty good. The bite on the left is a little open, so we put this in. We scan it because this is just a Triant. And now we go into a final restoration. Because of the bit of a cantilever on the lower, we used a titanium framework. The upper is strictly zirconium with power ball screws. These had typical prosthetic screws that go into the multi-unit. So look how great she looks. She seems to me like she's getting younger every 7 years. And here's the final x-ray. 2017 to 2024. I think she looks younger. She looks better today. And so we show the process, the original, the overdenture, a interim denture, and the final. And if you didn't know that, exocad has a new function that allows the patient to see with new hairstyles and new glasses. I'm just kidding. Don't take me seriously there, but I think I saw the picture. I said, I got to throw that in. And here she is with myself. There's no pictures here. This is what I look like. And really great experience and a wonderful patient. She let us film this whole thing. So to be there and let us do that, you need a special person. So in summary, the iTero Lumina Pro is here. And before we get into questions, I do want to talk about a special date that's going to be on September 26th, the 9 to 4 at DNS Dental Laboratories, where we'll be doing a lecture and a hands-on event and some of the great things on what we discussed today, using the Lumina hands-on, using some of the Align platforms and workflow, using some of the design that comes with it, as well as capturing emergence profiles and all annexes and digital dentures and those things.